to our QPR Preview Show ahead of the trip to the South Coast to face Portsmouth, a clash between the only two sides in the bottom of the half of the Championship who haven't changed manager this season. Before we discuss that match, we have to start back last Friday night, the 4-0 win over Derby, QPR's biggest win of the season, the first time we've scored 4 goals this season. A happy Valentine's night, Dave.
Yeah, it was a brilliant night, wasn't it? I mean, there was us expecting a really tight game, and it turned out to be an absolute massacre, didn't it? I thought Derby actually started quite well, and we weren't that good the first 10, 15 minutes, but once Chair put us in front, we were so dominant and played so well. I thought several players probably had their best game of the season. Varane was really good, Chair, Saito, all across the team we were really good, especially going forward, which you don't always see. So just a brilliant night. And, to win 4-0, I think there's that twice. We won 4-0 on a Friday night. We should play more often on Fridays, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, oddly, I had to miss this match and avoid it and catch up later. And the last time I had to do that was the Friday night match and we beat Leeds 4-0. So maybe it should be my new match day routine to avoid it and catch up hours later. And I agree with you, though, the first 20 minutes, we probably saw a 4-0 win coming, did they, in a memorable night under the lights. There wasn't much to speak about, but once we got ahead, we were only going to be the one winner in the game. With Chair's goal, absolutely unbelievable, wasn't it? We can't overstate the quality. Slightly bouncing ball, he's swiveling, facing away from goal, right in by the post. That was a glorious moment. QPR's XG in the game, actually, and some of the other stats weren't that spectacular, but we took our chances, got that all-important second goal, and then we just played our own game. And so often, don't we bemoan that we had that inability to kill a team off. Not this time, and it was a nice clean sheet too. For me, the only disappointment of the whole match was that first time 35-yarder for Michael Frey didn't go in the first half. Would you like to see how he celebrated that one?
Oh, that would have been unbelievable. We had a family sat near us at the game. That was their first game, and they were all like, "Who's that guy who took that shot?" It's like, he don't normally do that, to be honest, but it was an incredible effort. Would have been a hell of a goal if it had gone in, but it just showed the confidence of the team, didn't it? They were, you saw the start of the season, they weren't prepared to do that sort of thing. Now they're having shots from everywhere. They're trying things during the game. It's just great to see.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Frey, you might not have got a goal, but there's no doubt he's our number one striker at the moment, isn't he? And
Yeah.
there's nobody else like him, probably not at the club, but anywhere. He's definitely a unique character as well. And I'm glad he's been able to show us what he can do this season. In terms of other talking points, we can't really follow up on our discussion about corners from last week because we only had 2, oddly. But fair play to Kenneth Powell for his assist from the free kick. And we'll get onto a few of the QPR player performances later. I just wanted a word on Derby because I know he'd only been in the job for a day and a half when he took over ahead of our match, but John Eustace, he's got his hands full, hasn't he?
He definitely has. They were not what I expected. I thought they'd make themselves really hard to beat, but they were all over the place at the back at times. They were just so easy to get through. And that looks a tough job. There's lucky there's still quite a few games left for him. So I think Eustace can probably get him out of it. But yeah, that's a worrying start for him. He won't be impressed with what he saw there.
Yeah, and again, it was no goals for them, wasn't it? We said last week it was 3-8, now 3-9. It does look a tough ask, and he's got no transfer window. And the teams they're trying to catch, like so if you Stoke, Portsmouth, who we're going to talk about in a minute, they keep picking up wins. Swansea have now changed manager. It's starting to look like maybe 3 from 5 at the bottom, with Cardiff and Hull maybe the sides they can hope to catch. I think we all expect Luton to kick into gear at some point, but I think I agree. Eustace is still their best chance of survival, but looked a tough job for him. Despite the win for QPR, we stayed 13th, but we've cut the gap to 6th from 6 to 4 points. And there's only, I think, 10 teams are separated by 6 points from 6th to 15th. It's crazy how it's panning out in the middle of the table there. And it's worth noting as well that QPR didn't have 44 points 2 seasons ago until match 43. So we're 10 games ahead of that. And last season, it was over Easter when we beat Swansea when we went past that point. So there's much to be positive about as we head to Portsmouth. And quickly before we preview that match, any concerns for you about these Marty Cifuentes to Glasgow Rangers rumours?
I'm just blocking him out and don't want to think about it after what happened the other year. It's going to be a concern because he's doing a brilliant job and surely clubs are going to be taking notice of it. But, I just hope he stays. I'm glad he got through that rough patch earlier in the season and, hopefully he stays. And if he doesn't take us up this year, maybe next year.
Yeah, it's inevitable, isn't it, that these rumours are going to come. I just hope that it is hearsay because it does make me nervous every time his name pops up somewhere. just have to trust that he believes what's happening behind the scenes at QPR. He'll know like what is going to happen in the summer, how much money he's got to spend.
Yeah.
Just going to hope it's going to click into place for him. Let's move on to Saturday's clash with Portsmouth then. The first league visit to Fratton Park for QPR since 2010, a night when Neil Warnock's side remained unbeaten thanks to a last-minute Tommy Smith penalty. QPR, of course, lost this match earlier in the season and lost the prior meeting in the League Cup in 2019. Before that, we'd gone 9 meetings unbeaten over a 20-year period. So let's hope we can get back to that kind of record. Portsmouth manager John Musino, he was under pressure ahead of that first meeting back in October when they were winless. They stuck with him, and a bit like QPR, it's paid dividends, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we said when we played them at the start of the season, they'd had a really hard start fixture-wise, and I don't think they were as bad as their position looked. And, now they've played teams around them, they've started to pull out of it. And, I imagine the start of the season, they're probably thinking, just be in touch at this stage, but they're a fair bit clear, and they look in a pretty good place, and definitely done the right thing sticking with their manager. I mean, I think they'll stay up Portsmouth quite comfortably in the end. I mean, they're a team that's got goals in them. A lot of the teams down there don't. We've already just said about Derby. So, I think they've done well for their first season back up, I mean, they're not Portsmouth for a club, in the Premier. It seems like 5 minutes ago they're in the Premier League. I know it's probably 10 years now, but they've got great support, and I think there'll be a difficult challenge at the weekend.
Yeah, both teams have been bottom of the table, and other teams haven't, but we've been rewarded for not reacting too quickly. I genuinely think there's a message there for a lot of other clubs to keep the faith, because every other team literally has changed their manager. Like I said at the start, with only 2 teams in the bottom half of the table who haven't. Other teams have changed manager multiple times, some of them, and every season it seems to be the same now, and they can't all avoid the drop. So I think teams need to maybe have a little look at how QPR and Portsmouth have turned things around this season under the same manager. As for Portsmouth's resurgence, I think they had a lot of injuries as well, didn't they, at the start of the season? Colby Bishop, one example. He missed the first 14 games. He started all but one since, so he shows how much of a key player he is. You're right to touch on their scoring record. They've bagged the most goals of any team in the bottom half, even scored more than Blackburn and Burnley, who are 5th and 3rd. And we just said Derby are struggling for goals. I think Portsmouth, because they've got goals in the team, they will be more than fine. And obviously their recovery has mainly been built on an excellent home form. Fratton Park, it's a pretty formidable place to visit, won't it?
Yeah, it's never an easy place to go. There's always a great atmosphere down there, and they're flying at home. And it's one of them. We're taking a big following down there, which always makes me a bit nervous when we take a big following away. They don't really let us down then. But it's going to be a really difficult game. Portsmouth have got themselves in a position where they're not desperate for points and need a few more wins to stay up, but they can be a bit relaxed. And I think this is a very difficult game. I think some eyes might be on further ahead for us, but we've got a lot of the top teams next month and an opportunity for us to close in on the top 6. But we've got to concentrate on this one first, because this isn't an easy game by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, no, definitely not, especially with them being at home. Their home form's top half. They only lost 4 of 16. Only lost 1 of the last 10 at home, actually, and only conceded 15 goals at home, so it's less than a goal a game. Their Achilles heel, as it is with so many of the teams at the bottom, is their away form, where they've only won 2 of 17, one, of course, at Loftus Road, and they've conceded 40. Now, their central midfield pairing in the last 2 wins they've had has been Andre Dazelle and Isaac Hayden. Any regrets about letting either of them go?
Not so much Dazelle. I think we've done the right thing there, letting him go. But, I really liked Hayden last year. The thing is, though, he's kind of has worked out for us. I think first half of the season we could have done with him, really. We needed a bit more experience in that midfield. But as it's worked out, Varane's got a good run in the side, and he looks a bit of a player now. And they've probably done the right thing in hindsight now. But he's still a very good player at this level. I mean, to be fair, Dazelle on his day can be a good player as well. So, I'm sure they want to have a say against us.
Yeah, I know I said that as well. We let Hayden go, but it's more we let him slip the net maybe. But I agree with you completely. In hindsight, signing Jonathan Varane, who's effectively doing the same job in the QPR formation, it's a better long-term investment for QPR. But there's no doubt in Isaac Hayden's an excellent addition for Portsmouth at this stage of the season, because we know ourselves from last year. Andre Dazelle, I know he scored in their last game, but he was always just too passive in games, wasn't he? Went missing far too often. Overall, Portsmouth coming to this after back-to-back wins. Last weekend's win at Oxford was their first away win since October. They're only defeated in the last 4 to show how hard it's going to be, like Dave alluded to. only defeated last four was at Sheffield United. They drew 0-0 at home with Burnley, and Portsmouth had more shots in that game. So this will be a tough afternoon. QPR will have to be on it. First point of note when it comes back to QPR is that we're highly likely to be wearing that gold, yellow, whatever we're calling it, third kit, and we're yet to win wearing it. We got draws at both Sheffield clubs to begin with, but since then we've lost at Blackburn, Derby, Leicester, and Millwall in that kit. But maybe, surely we have to win wearing it at some stage. If we just start then away with one of our out on loan players, Charlie Kelman. He's in a rich reign of form at Leyton Orient. Do you think he has a future at QPR though?
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, kind of looked at him last year. We just thought, it's probably time for him to just move on and play in the lower leagues. But he's taken this loan move. He's done really well at Orient. I watched him against Man City the other week, and he didn't look out of place, to be honest. He was causing him a lot of problems. And some of the goals he's scoring, you think, if we were looking for a striker this summer, which we will be, and you're looking in League One, you'd probably pick him and to come in, but he is our player. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens with him next year. I think when we have played him, we've always seemed to play him out wide. He's never really had a run up front. He plays the odd game, the odd 10 minutes here and there. So maybe it's worth giving him a chance next year. Like I say, if you're looking for a striker, he's got 15 goals in League One. It's a pretty good record, and there's still a long way to go this season.
Yeah, it's 14 goals in all competitions, but it's 7 in his last 14 games, which is what's got people talking about him. My understanding is that his contract's up in the summer. Whether we've got a year extension on that, I don't know. But I have a suspicion he might want to just forge his career elsewhere. It's easy to forget it's 5 years this year since we signed him, and we kind of messed him about a little bit in and out of the team, not really giving him much of a chance. He's probably happy at Leyton Orient. He may just want to stay there. And I always get the impression watching, though, he does look like maybe a League One striker. Kind of reminds me of when we signed Macaulay Bonne. And my chief concern as well would be that I don't think he fits the Martí Cifuentes style of play as a lone striker. Even Jan Seller, look how he's really struggled to fit in. But it'll be interesting to see how it develops. Let us know in the comments whether you'd want him back next season. Back to QPR versus Portsmouth. And after a clean sheet, I don't think any of us would expect any changes in defence this week. But there's a few talking points in terms of team selection elsewhere, especially out wide, because Jan Ming-hyuk, he got his first start and it came with an assist. So what did you make of his performance? And will it be him or Smith starting here?
Yeah, I thought he was really exciting. It was a great assist that he got, and he done a lovely nutmeg in the first half. We almost scored from that move. He looked really good. I thought the three of them behind Frey last week were all exciting, but it's a difficult one. I think for a game like this, where it's going to be a tight game, or a difficult game, he'll probably go with Smith just for a bit more experience, a bit more defensive solidity there, alongside Dunn. So I imagine Smith will get the nod for it. But I think we'll see a lot more of him as the season goes on.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be surprised if it isn't Smith here for that same thing you just said with his defensive rate. But I think it could almost alternate to the end of the season. Yang at home, Smith away.
Yeah.
Playing Yang when we're expected to be more on the front foot. On the other side, you just said how good they were, but Koki Saito, he's in a rich reign of form, got his first goal at Loftus Road. Surely we have to sign him permanently.
I hope so. I mean, he's got a lot better as the season got on. There was a little spell around Christmas when he was doing okay, but there was no assists, there was no goals. He wasn't really carrying much of a threat. But now he's added that to his game. He looks a real threat, and I thought he was really good against Derby. I thought he played well at Coventry as well, actually. But yeah, really impressive. I'd stick with him again. The only other option really, I suppose, is to put Chair back out there and add an extra body into midfield. But there's not a great deal of pressure on us at the minute, so I just say go, try and play these attacking players, have a go in these games. What's the worst that can happen? If we lose, we'll be 14th rather than 13th. It's not a disaster, is it?
No, it does. It's giving, you can actually sense it's giving Martí Cifuentes that freedom to maybe try and get back to what he was trying at the start of the season, but not being quite as drastic with things. It's good that we maybe got this time at the end of the season to bed in his plans rather than him trying to do it through the summer. For Koki Saito, he's really putting defenders on the back foot and it's helping our team with our attacking play. It appears his contract with his parent club is up in the summer, so hopefully we've already got some kind of agreement with him where he'll sign, because he's showed great composure with his goal, didn't he? Because most players would try and hit that first time at this level, but that was so good how he took it to the side and then give himself the angle to hit it into the roof of the net. Such a good talent, and he's the type of player, isn't he? He puts bums on seats in the stadium, makes you excited to watch QPR. Now, you just touched on it, but Ilias Chair at the 10, but if he doesn't move, it doesn't play him there and moves him to the left. Marty then has three, but if he does play Cher, it's only two. It's leaving Marty Cifuentes with a real quandary of which then two he plays behind, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, when to be fair, the midfield three was working well. I thought of Field, Varane, and Morgan. It seemed a really good combination, but Chair just gives us just a bit more attacking, energy going forward. He's a bit more creativity. So I'd like to see Chair given a run in that number 10 role. He's played out wide the last few years. So behind him, I mean, you can take your pick, really, can't you? I imagine it'll be Field and Varane. I thought they were both really good last week, but really, you could put Cole back in there, and he wouldn't. I don't think he'd let you down. And Morgan's been really good. I think it's been quite good for Morgan to have a little break from the team. Played a lot of games, in his first season, and it won't hurt him to have a few games out and then come back in again later on.
Yeah, the main thing is Marty Cifuentes, he's having to leave out some good players, which he's not had to do
Yeah,
previously. Kieran Morgan's done little wrong, hasn't he? And he offers good energy for away games, but I'm not convinced he's works as well as part of the midfield two. He does seem to work better as the forward one of the three, but
yeah.
Sam Field's usually first name on the team sheet. Varane was excellent against Derby. I'm scratching my head. I'd probably keep it the same. One for the comments, let us know who you would pick in there. Up front, we alluded to it earlier, but it'll surely be Michael Frey, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think Lloyd struggled a bit recently. He was so good when he came off the bench at Hull a couple of weeks ago, but he hasn't really looked as good since. And I think he'll stick with Frey. He's the first choice one, isn't he, really? So I imagine he'll go with that again.
Yeah, Alfie Lloyd's not been quite as effective in his recent cameos, and we've got no midweek match next week, so choose our strongest 11, which undoubtedly includes Michael Frey right now. And finally, we got our first QPR goal for Ronnie Edwards. They always say, don't you never fall in love with lone players, but I suspect he's testing your heart, Dave.
Oh my God, he is so good, isn't he? He just looks, he's a Rolls Royce of a defender. To be honest, it really frustrates me that we weren't in for him a couple of years ago when he was at Peterborough. He played against us for Peterborough when they were in the Championship and looked a good player. And down to League One, you could have got him reasonably cheaply, but they've waited and they've got no chance of buying him now, really. Unless we go up, but I don't think that is probably unlikely. But he's just so good to watch. You just think he's going to have a hell of a career going forward.
Yeah, we should have signed him a few years ago, but I think at that point we then moved to Gareth Ainsworth being manager as well, and he
Yeah,
was never going to sign a ball playing centre half like that, was he? So I think we missed that boat, unfortunately. And obviously with Southampton coming down, they're just going to be watching him now, thinking he's ours next year.
yeah,
Not going to sell him unless we do somehow swap leagues. Speaking of swapping leagues, we did cut the gap, obviously, like I said before, to 4 points. It's already looking like for us to have any outside chance of getting up there. The away games at West Brom and Middlesbrough, back to back on the 8th and 11th of March, will be key. Lose both of them, and I think any possibility of looking upwards will be
yeah.
over. We need to take points from those two games, but to have any real chance of looking upwards, we need 3 points here. And I guess that leads us on to our predictions. Will we get them?
I think we can. I think we're in good form in a minute. Portsmouth are good at home, but I think we can get something down there. I think it'll be close, but I'm going to go for a narrow win. I think maybe 2-1.
I'm going to go with the opposite, what you've been going with all the other weeks this week. I think this could be our first draw of 2025. And when you look at the four matches at the start of March that we've just said, the teams are second, sixth, 11th, and first. So we do need to maybe try and get a win in this one to set us up for those games. But I just think Portsmouth, good at home, almost certain they'll score given how many goals they've been getting. I'm going to go for 1-1. But it wouldn't even actually surprise me if we lost this one because we've been throwing in some dodgy performances recently when we least expect it. But looking at the league table, I just hope QPR fans don't take Portsmouth lightly at Fratton Park. This is going to be a tough game. Let us all know your predictions in the comments, of course, and then Dave and I will be back next week to preview a tough-looking home match against Sheffield United. Until then, thanks for watching as always, and come on you arse.